There's something haunting about a woman who once made you feel like the center of her world, then vanished into silence. She used to light up your phone, flood your days with laughter, affection, presence, and now, nothing. Just a void. You tell yourself she's moved on, that maybe you never really mattered, but what if the silence isn't what it seems? What if every second of her quiet is echoing with words she's too afraid to say? This isn't just a video. This is the story millions are living, but don't talk about. And if you're watching this, you're about to understand what her silence has been hiding all along. There was a time, not too long ago, when you were the center of her emotional universe. You were the thought that lit up her mornings and the presence that calmed her storms at night. Every vibration of her phone, every notification, every chance to hear your voice or see your name brought an undeniable spark to her day. She lit up from the inside whenever you entered the room, even if only through a screen. Her smiles were deeper, wider, more alive when they came because of you. Conversations didn't need a purpose. They didn't need a topic. They just needed you. She'd ask about things you mentioned once in passing, not because she was nosy, but because she was listening, intently, lovingly, trying to hold on to every piece of you. She remembered the small things, your coffee order, your quirks, the way your mood shifted when you were tired, the songs you skipped, or the ones you played on repeat. She didn't just observe, she absorbed. You were her curiosity, her fascination, her joy. The moments you spoke, she didn't just hear you, she felt you. When you were quiet, she leaned in closer, trying to understand what words you weren't saying. That's how present she was. That's how deeply she cared. And when she laughed with you, it wasn't just sound, it was relief. You were her safe space. Her laughter around you wasn't about jokes, it was about release. You brought out the version of her that she didn't always feel safe enough to show the world. Around others, she was composed, calculated, maybe even a little guarded. But with you, she was undone in the most beautiful way. Vulnerable, yes, but fearless. Because with you, she felt seen, not just appreciated, but understood in the deepest corners of who she was. She stretched every moment you shared. She lingered on calls even after the conversation had ended. She reread your messages not to overanalyze them, but to relive them. She waited for you, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Not out of desperation, but devotion. In her world, you weren't just a priority. You were the pulse. The reason she checked her phone in the middle of meetings. The reason she stayed up later than usual. The reason her heart beat a little differently every time your name appeared on the screen. And when she gave you space in her life, she wasn't doing it halfway. She didn't hold back. She gave you all of her laughter, all of her softness, all of her attention, her energy, her thoughts. She imagined futures where you were part of her days, her routines, even her dreams. She opened herself fully, and in that space, something deeply real began to grow. Not just a passing crush or a fleeting emotion, but a love that built itself layer by layer, through conversations, through memories, through every subtle exchange that most people overlook. She crafted emotional safety with you, a space where honesty could breathe, where flaws weren't fatal, and silence wasn't rejection. And despite what time, distance, or silence might suggest now, a love like that doesn't just disappear. It doesn't evaporate under pressure. It doesn't fade because texts stopped or routines shifted. No, that kind of love hides. It burrows deep, where it waits, quiet but alive. It doesn't scream anymore, but it still exists. She may act indifferent now, distant, maybe even cold. But what you shared wasn't nothing. It wasn't a phase or a temporary spark. It was warmth. It was connection. And you were the one who made her feel the most like herself, loud, present, overflowing with feeling. And even now, in her quiet moments, you live there still. In the songs she skips because they remind her of you. In the places she avoids because they carry echoes of your laughter. In the words she's learned not to say, because saying them would summon everything she's trying to bury. That love never left. It simply went underground, where it waits. Not forgotten, not erased, but stored in silence, quiet, but still very much alive. How she watches. From a distance, she doesn't reach out. She doesn't message you, no texts, no calls, no heart emojis, no late night I miss you confessions. To the outside world, she's moved on. She's composed, she's thriving. Her life, as seen from the surface, looks uninterrupted, clean, strong, as if you were just a chapter. She turned without flinching, but that's the story she lets others believe. That's the story she's taught herself to perform. Beneath it, behind the silence and the staged serenity, is something far more complicated. Because even now, even without a word exchanged, she is still watching you. She knows when you're online. She notices your new posts the moment they go up. She pays attention to the people in your photos, who's tagged, who's standing too close, who you're laughing with. She studies your captions, reads between the lines, searching for meaning in what you don't say as much as what you do. Every status update becomes a puzzle she tries to solve. Is that a new place, a new friend, a new someone? Did you write that for someone else? Or is it still about her? She notices when you change your profile picture, when you disappear for a few hours, and when you post something unusually deep or painfully cheerful. She's become fluent in the language of your online life, and she reads every word silently, hoping to find herself hidden between the pixels. She scrolls through your story views not to be noticed, but to make sure you're still real, that you're still out there, that her absence hasn't erased her from your memory entirely. She plays it cool, never likes, never comments, never replies. But that doesn't mean she isn't there. She's always there, silently anchored to your world through the invisible thread of attention. She checks who you're following. She knows when someone new is getting your time, and even if it tears her up inside, she never lets it show. She'd rather feel the ache in silence than risk revealing that she still cares. Every time she sees your face, even in a filtered selfie, it triggers something in her chest, a quiet pull, a tightening she can't name. Because once upon a time, that face felt like home. That smile belonged to moments that she still replays late at night when the rest of the world is quiet. She wonders if you're really as okay as you appear, if the smiles are genuine or just shields like hers. She wonders if your laughter is the same without her, if your life feels full, or if you too glance at your phone expecting to see her name and feel that sting when it never appears. She may never admit it, but watching you has become a ritual, a private form of connection she's too proud to abandon. She watches not to torture herself, but because letting go completely feels worse than pretending to have moved on. It's not apathy, it's longing, longing camouflaged as distance. This isn't detachment, it's surveillance of the heart. Her pride won't let her speak, but her actions betray her. She's emotionally tethered to a past she hasn't truly let go of. And while she wants to seem unaffected, every story, every post, every shared memory you bring into the digital world, she sees it, she feels it, and it shakes her quietly. Because deep down, she's hoping for one impossible thing, that maybe you'll notice, that maybe somehow you'll feel her watching, that you'll sense the weight of her silence, the pull of her presence behind the screen, that you'll realize she hasn't stopped caring, that you'll reach out first. It's a hope so fragile she keeps it buried beneath layers of pretense. But it's real. As real as the love that still lingers, unspoken, in her chest. So if you think she's gone, completely gone, think again. She's still there, just not in the way you're used to. She's present in the shadows of your screen, in the quiet glances, the unsent messages, the sleepless nights when she stares at your name but chooses silence. She watches from a distance not because she doesn't care, but because caring out loud now feels far too dangerous. The battle inside her. Pride versus longing. Inside her, there's a constant war, a brutal, exhausting back and forth between two forces that refuse to coexist peacefully. One voice, quiet but persistent, whispers to her at the softest hours of the night, "Just say it. Just reach out. Just tell him you still feel it." That voice remembers what it was like to feel safe in your presence. It recalls the way her heartbeat softened when she heard your voice, the way her world felt less heavy with you in it. That part of her wants desperately to connect again. It wants to pull you back into her life, not because she's weak, but because the connection was that real. That voice doesn't care about ego, timing, or who's right. It just wants to feel close to you again. It believes that maybe, just maybe, if she said the right thing, you'd understand. And the distance between you would collapse like it never existed. But then there's the other voice, louder, harsher, sharp with fear and coated in pride. It doesn't whisper, it shouts, "Don't you dare! Don't make a fool of yourself. You've already said too much. He's not thinking about you. He's moved on." That voice is fueled by the memories of vulnerability that turned into regret. It's the part of her that remembers crying with the phone screen lit up, hoping for a reply that never came. It's the part of her that remembers how she gave more than she received. That voice builds a wall around her heart, one that gets taller every time she thinks about messaging you and stops herself. It feeds on her need to protect herself, to stay strong, to not look desperate. And so, the messages stay unwritten, or worse, typed out and deleted. The feelings stay buried under layers of fake calm and rehearsed indifference. And the silence, it grows. Every day that war plays out in her mind like clockwork, and it doesn't take much to trigger it. One familiar song, one accidental memory, one old photo that she didn't even realize she still had. Any of these can awaken both voices at once. Her longing pushes her to reach out, to break the silence, to stop pretending that she's over it. But her pride pulls her back, reminding her of the bruises love left behind. And in between these two forces, she becomes emotionally paralyzed, stuck, not able to fully move on, but too afraid to go back. And while the outside world sees a woman who's fine, maybe even thriving, internally she's drained, tired of pretending that this war inside her isn't tearing her apart. She keeps herself busy, friends, work, new hobbies, even dating apps she scrolls through without feeling a thing. Not because she's over it, but because she's trying to smother her feelings with noise. She tells herself that she's better off, that what you had wasn't that special, that people outgrow each other. She repeats these phrases like affirmations, hoping that if she says them enough, they'll become true. But late at night, when the world is still and her distractions are gone, everything she's been running from comes flooding back. That's when your voice echoes in her mind. That's when she sees your smile, hears your laugh, feels the warmth of your presence as if it never left. That's when she breaks all over again, quietly, alone, without anyone to see. She scrolls through conversations you used to have, not because she wants to relive the pain, but because it's the only proof she has that it was once real. She replays moments in her mind, not the fights, not the goodbyes, but the small, tender things. The way you said her name, the way you looked at her when you thought she wasn't watching, the inside jokes, the hand squeezes, the quiet comforts. She clings to those because they're the only part of you she has left. And they live in her more honestly than anything she shows the world. Nothing fills the space you left. She tries. She's tried everything. But the truth is, when you truly love someone, that space doesn't shrink. You just grow around it. You live around the emptiness, pretending it's not there, but it always is, and that's what the world doesn't see. The battle she fights behind closed doors, the way she holds back tears during conversations, the way she avoids places that used to be yours, the way she pretends to be okay when someone casually mentions your name. The deeper the love, the louder the silence when it's gone. And in her case, that silence is deafening. It follows her into every room, every moment of stillness. It's in the way she stops herself, mid-sentence when she's about to mention you. It's in the way she pauses at your old photos, fingers hovering over the delete button, but never pressing it. It's in the way she still dresses up sometimes, hoping, on some level, you'll notice. Because even now, she's still trying to figure out if missing you makes her weak or human. She may never say it aloud. You may never hear it from her lips. But the truth is, the loudest voice inside her isn't the one that says to move on. It's the one that still calls your name in the quiet moments and wonders if maybe you still feel the same. When you finally stepped back, you were the one who stayed when staying became hard. When she shut down, when she stopped making sense, even to herself. You didn't run. You didn't give up. You didn't label her too much or too complicated. You didn't flinch when the layers of her came undone in front of you. You stood in her chaos like it was a storm you were willing to weather because you knew that underneath the mess was a person worth holding on to. You saw her not just for who she was in the bright moments, but for who she was when she was hurting, when she was fragile, when she was scared. And you didn't treat her like a burden. You made space for her confusion. You made room for her fear. You were patient. You waited while she struggled to find the words. You listened when she couldn't explain what she needed. You didn't force her to be okay. You just offered your presence, your steadiness, your heart, over and over again. But even the strongest hearts have limits. Even the most loyal ones grow tired when they are met with silence, coldness, distance. You gave without keeping score, but eventually it began to hurt. There comes a moment when giving starts to feel like begging, when loving someone who won't meet you halfway becomes too heavy to carry, and you realize something painful yet necessary. Loving her should never come at the cost of losing yourself. You realize that waiting endlessly was not love, it was self-sacrifice. And love, real love, should be a place of nourishment, not depletion. So, you did the hardest thing. You stopped trying. You stopped reaching out. You let go, not out of resentment, not to punish her, but because you were bleeding in places no one could see, and you needed to heal. You needed to preserve the pieces of yourself you had given away so freely. You needed peace more than you needed proof that she still cared. And that was the moment everything shifted for her. She never expected that silence could come from you. She thought your voice would always be there, waiting on the other end. She believed that no matter how far she drifted, you'd stay anchored, that no matter how long she needed to figure things out, you'd still be standing right where she left you. But the day your calls stopped, when your name stopped appearing in her notifications, when your digital footprints no longer circled her world, that's when the truth cracked through her. It didn't feel empowering. It didn't feel like relief. It felt like the ground had shifted beneath her feet. Because the one constant she relied on, even in her silence, even in her denial, was the belief that you'd always be there, that no matter how distant she became, she was still tethered to you, that even in her coldest days, your warmth would never fade. And when it did, she didn't know what to do with the emptiness. It wasn't just about missing your voice or your words. It was the absence of safety, of consistency, of the emotional shelter you always offered, even when she didn't know how to ask for it. She thought you leaving would make her feel powerful, like she had the last word. But it didn't. It made her feel exposed, vulnerable, alone. She realized that you weren't just another chapter in her story. You were the mirror that helped her see herself clearly. You were the calm to her storm, the grounding in her whirlwind. And when your presence vanished, she was left face to face with her own emotional mess, with no one to hold it for her anymore. And she still doesn't talk about it. She won't admit it to her friends. She won't write about it in her journal, but it haunts her. The silence from you is louder than she ever imagined. It echoes in the spaces you used to fill, in the quiet of her morning coffee, in the nights when she can't sleep and her phone is just inches away. But your name is no longer there. She scrolls through the memories, replaying the moments where you gave and she pulled away. She thinks about reaching out, about saying something, anything, but the pride still holds her back. And yet, the truth remains. The moment you stopped trying was the moment she felt the full weight of what she had lost, what she'll never admit. She'll never say it, not out loud, not to you, not even to the people she trusts most. She'll carry it quietly like a secret wrapped in iron, sealed behind her pride and guarded by every wall she's ever built to keep herself safe. She won't tell you that your name still lives on her tongue, that she mouths it in the dark when no one is listening, just to remember what it feels like to say it. She'll never admit how often she rereads the old conversations, the ones that used to make her heart leap, that now sit in her phone like relics of a love she still hasn't buried. She scrolls through them late at night, in the silence that only grows heavier the longer she's alone. She doesn't do it to feel better. She does it to feel something. Because even pain is easier to sit with than the numbness of pretending you were just another passing name. She'll never tell anyone how many times she's typed out messages to you. Long, vulnerable messages with paragraphs she crafted in her head for hours, filled with everything she wishes she could say. She types them with trembling fingers, heart racing, hoping that maybe this time she'll be brave enough to hit send. But she never does. She always deletes them. Or worse, she leaves them sitting unsent, like open wounds she can't bring herself to close. She erases you from her keyboard, but not from her mind. Because admitting she misses you, admitting that she still feels your absence like a burn that never quite healed, would also mean admitting that she let something real slip through her hands. And that she cannot bear. She's worked too hard to convince the world, and herself, that she's fine, that she's moved on, that your absence hasn't carved out a space in her heart so vast, it sometimes echoes when she's alone. She shows up online like nothing's wrong. Her photos look happy, her captions are clever, her stories are full of people and places that suggest she's better without you. But that's just a performance, a necessary illusion, because vulnerability terrifies her. Not because it's weak, but because it's honest. And the truth is, she still aches for you. Not in a desperate, clinging kind of way, but in that deep, quiet, soul-level ache that doesn't fade with time, only settles in more deeply. She sees you moving forward, living, laughing, posting, and she pretends it doesn't matter. She pretends it doesn't sting, but it does, because once she was part of those smiles. She knew your routines, your moods, your rhythms. Now, she only knows what she can piece together from the outside, from the bits of you that leak through the screen. She sees your milestones and doesn't say a word, but her heart reacts in ways she can't always control. It skips, it sinks, it wonders. Because even though you're not in her life anymore, you're still in her story, just not the way she wanted you to be. She's not over you, not completely. She's just grown skilled at hiding it. She's learned how to silence the screams inside her long enough to get through the day. She's mastered the art of pretending that your memory doesn't live rent-free in the back of her mind, whispering what-ifs in the quietest moments. She tells herself she did the right thing, that letting go was strength, that moving on was necessary. But there's still that part of her, the part that feels your absence like a phantom limb, that wonders if she made a mistake she'll never fully recover from. She won't talk about you anymore. She avoids your name in conversation like it's a landmine. She'll smile politely if someone brings you up, but the moment passes and she feels hollow. She doesn't cry about you in front of anyone, but when no one is watching, her heart still folds under the weight of everything unsaid. Her silence isn't peace, it's pressure, a quiet that screams. A mask she wears because admitting the truth would unravel her. Admitting she misses you would mean confronting all the moments she pushed you away, all the ways she couldn't let herself receive what she truly wanted. And that kind of honesty is too raw for someone who's spent her life learning how to be strong. So she smiles, she moves, she carries on. And the world believes she's fine. But deep inside, behind every silence, beneath every moment she avoids your name, is one truth she'll never say. She misses you, and she wishes you'd say it first. Her silence doesn't mean you meant nothing. It means she's drowning in everything she never learned to say. She doesn't speak your name, not because it doesn't matter, but because it matters too much. And every time she thinks about reaching out, her fear grips her throat. What if you've moved on? What if you don't feel it anymore? So, she stays quiet. Not because she wants to forget you, but because remembering you is the only way to survive not having you. Silence isn't absence. It's a love letter written in shadows, sealed by pride, and sent through the silence of space. If you made it here, this wasn't just a video. It was your story, or maybe hers. So now, do something powerful. Support this channel. By doing that, you help us keep bringing these truths to the women who feel invisible, unheard, forgotten. You help us change lives, one story at a time. Your support gives voice to silence. And if this hit you deeply, drop a comment below. I stayed till the end. Let's see how many are brave enough to admit they still care.